Welcome to the Three Answers podcast, where we reveal the day-to-day goodness in people's lives. Each guest answers three questions, such as, what do you do to be creative? This is show number 8, recorded on December 18th, 2025. In Portland, Oregon, I'm your host today, Rob Bednark. Today I'm excited to do a call with my friend Halina, who lives in Denmark. I met Halina 10 years ago when we were at a conference. I didn't know who she was, and I walked up to her and introduced myself, and I'm so happy I did. I felt an instant connection with her, and though she lives in Denmark and I haven't seen her in person since, we've kept in touch through video calls. I'm looking forward to discovering some of the day-to-day goodness in her life. Hello, Halina.
Hey, Rob.
It's nice to see you.
Likewise. This is exciting.
Thank you so much for accepting my invitation.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm curious.
Curious. I love that. And how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. It's afternoon here in Denmark. It's just 4 p.m. and it's dark outside. So
Oh, it's dark already. Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
You're farther
Yes.
north than us. So.
Yes. But I've been out, and it's a nice day.
Nice. Okay, well, would you be willing to give an introduction about yourself? Whatever you'd like to share.
Sure. So, yeah, what to say? So I've been working all my life mostly as a spiritual coach and mentor, also taking care of kids in kindergartens, also playing music, also writing. So it's been an exciting life, and by now I am officially retired, but not dead yet, so things are still happening. And as I said, I live in Denmark. I live alone, which I love. And at this time, I pretty much live one day at a time and see what happens.
Beautiful. We talked about spiritual coach, mentor, kindergarten, teaching kids, and playing music. What kind of order did those come in throughout your life?
Actually, it was in parallel. No, I started with taking care of kids when I was very young, 18. But then I played music all my life, but started doing with not professionally, but semi-professionally when I was around 30-something. And a little bit earlier than that, when I was around 30, I started coaching and mentoring because people asked me to do it. And for long periods, I would actually do all of it at the same time. And I loved it because I like doing different things at the same time.
So you started teaching at 18 with kids. How did that come about?
Well, that wasn't really teaching because it was a nursery, and kindergartens in Denmark are more about play, or used to be more about play than teaching, really. I don't know how that came about. It was probably just, looking for a job or something. It didn't require an education because part of the staff had an education and part didn't. So I was that other part. And I just loved it. I just loved it because I don't have kids myself by choice, but I enjoy spending time with them, and I'm fascinated by them. So it kind of just happened, and then it just continued as something I would do like on and off, and for some periods full time, but many times part time, which was a beautiful, again, balancing the other things I was doing. So you can learn a lot from kids.
Yeah, that's true, isn't it? We usually think of it the other way. We're the ones teaching the kids.
Yeah, we're so vain. Yeah.
Well, I think back on my life. my school and teachers, like so many of them, made such a big impact on me. So I think
Mhm.
it's sometimes a underappreciated profession.
That is true, and actually, when you say it this way, it's because when you said teaching kids in kindergarten, then I was thinking teaching them certain, like teaching them to read or something like that. But when you say it this way, I'm thinking, yeah, that's teaching too. It's teaching them or leading them into some awareness of who they are and who the other kids are and how can we be together and what do we do when we have different needs or different preferences or how can we make choices freely. That is all including while we play, right, in the kindergarten.
Uh,
So it's definitely also teaching. That's true. It's just not formal. Yeah.
right, right. If you think back on your schooling and teachers you've had, I know even though this isn't like formal teaching, but maybe people in school settings, whether it's teachers or other people, any come to mind that have had a particular impact on you?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I guess most people have that. That there are some teachers, especially now in childhood, but also when I was in high school, that really made a difference. And it's funny because I'm the kind of person that lives very little in the past and pretty much in the now, a little bit in the future, but I rarely go back. But when you ask, very specific images come like really on the forefront of my awareness, and I'm amazed at what a big influence some people have in our lives when we go to school. And then things can change many times in many ways since then. And those beginnings are really important. And when I think about it, again, it's not so much what they were teaching, but who they were. Most definitely who they were. That was the big teaching
Uh,
behind the formal teaching.
uh,
Don't you find? Don't you find? Or was it different for you?
yeah, that's very true. The ones who were excited about what they were doing, excited about what they were teaching, I think that was one of the first thing that comes to
Yeah,
mind for
yeah.
me is like I could feel that excitement and it rubbed off on me. And also, just a general caring about people, where I felt safe and cared about and like they're interested in me. That
Mm.
that was huge.
Yeah.
Are there any particular ones that come to mind for you that you'd be willing to share?
Oh,
Or experiences or stories?
actually, this is interesting because I could say something about my math teacher and chemistry teachers because they showed me there was something bigger behind the math and behind the chemistry. Without saying it, it's just the feeling I had. But actually, I came to think to another teacher because I parallel with attending regular school as a child. I also attended a music school, and there was one teacher that really affected me deeply, again by who she was.
Mhm.
At the time when, at least in Poland, when I lived, when they were teaching music, it was serious stuff. You had to, it, uh, train a lot, and it was all very serious. But she was this very loving person who continued talking about play. So she was teaching what she had to teach, but she was so much about play. And I think what especially made a deep, deep impression on me that she was a survivor of a concentration camp. And she was so joyful. She was pure joy of living. And you wouldn't think that. But she was like making a statement just by, being there. She was so full of joy. Uh, Very close to my heart. Yeah.
Ah, and what was it that she taught?
She taught me violin,
Ah.
and I sucked at it pretty much. So I that wasn't my best instrument at all. but that didn't matter with her, you know.
Wow. Play, that is something that has come up for me lately. I don't remember how it came about. I think that's something else that's underappreciated, to have a playful approach or spirit or attitude. I think it's a big part of happiness or joy.
Mm, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And also it's sometimes a way of changing your mood. Like not in a forceful way, but sometimes, when you go to a grocery store, right? You go to a grocery store and you stand in line, and all of us adults, we stand in line and we're serious and tired and we just want to get it over with. But children, when they stand in line, they don't stand. They play, like, right? They would jump around and explore what else is there, or they sing a little song, or they do some, I don't know, tapping of a rhythm. They play all the time. And it's the same line, the same waiting time, completely different experience, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. I never thought of that. Yeah. Playing all the time. And the movement,
Yeah, yeah,
definitely that
yeah.
physicality.
Or at least until someone at school tells them to stop, sit still.
Right. What would you say the essence of play is?
Oh, I've been contemplating this a lot at some point in my life, and on the one hand, it's having fun, but I always more and more think of play as playfulness. That to play is to be the fullness of who we are. To to engage everything that we are and not just one part of us. So there is this joyous and playing, not serious, exploring, curious, but there's also this playing with life, like saying I'm also this and also this and also this. I'm many things, and
Mm.
and that's playfulness to me.
Wow, that fullness of who we are. Suddenly play becomes pretty deep or profound. Usually we think of play as being something, okay, just go off and play. And that's like, that's not the important thing, not the serious thing. But when you talk about it being the fullness of who we are, it becomes kind of the thing in a sense.
Yeah, but when you look at kids when they play, they are there like 100%, right? They really are
Ah,
the fullness of who they are. They are, in a way, very serious about play. Like they, it's also about learning, and they're doing it with everything that they are, their body, their mind, their spirit, their feelings, everything is there, right? So we, the adults, yeah, go out and play, or we go like, but we diminish actually what's going on there.
ah, yeah.
Isn't or this is how I see it at least.
Oh, yeah, I agree. I think so too. Huh. In fact, I just came across in the last couple days, it was a video, computer related, tech related, but the guy
Uh-huh.
was talking about a game designer. He was relating fun and learning, kind of how the two go together. When we're learning, we're having fun, or maybe not by definition, but that's maybe a nicer, better way to learn.
Yeah,
And music, so how does music continue, or how does it play out in your life today?
it doesn't.
Mm.
So there's a story to this. The story is that um, I've been playing music, different instruments since I was a little girl, really, and then I continued until I was around 50, and then it became more quote unquote serious, and I specialized in improvised music, like just free improvisation. I love that it came together with my meditation practice. So I did that for um, most of my life, and then when I was around 50, I lost interest, and pretty much at the same time I started writing, um, and I haven't missed playing music since. So and I actually rarely listen to music these days because I enjoy silence. But sometimes, I would go to a jazz concert or something and love it. But it's, what could you say? This has played out, but it's been a wonderful journey for me. But it's over.
Ah, it's a natural conclusion, at least up to this point.
Yeah. Yeah, but again, then the writing started, so it was as if the
Ah,
creativity wanted a different expression or something,
yeah, interesting.
or I wanted a different expression.
Ah, excuse me 1 second. My cat wants to get out of the room, so I need to open the door for her. Okay,
So
thank
does
you.
it mean he was here all the time? So you had company?
Yeah, actually, this was the she. We have a he and a she, male and
Okay.
female, and
Yeah.
yeah, she was keeping us company this whole time.
Sweet.
Yeah, Luna, she's a sweetie. Yeah, so your music you said the creativity kind of turned into writing.
Mhm.
So it sounds like it it kind of came naturally, but it seems like you're kind of the person who trusts those things and doesn't fight against it.
I do. And also, I'm I'm not good at doing something I don't enjoy, or like when it feels empty. So I think there was probably a time when I was kind of still thinking I would play more or continue, but it just didn't happen, and I just lost interest. And so yes, it started natural because I started having this prompts to write a story at the time, and it was very exciting to me because I haven't done that since I was a child. So it was. So one thing became kind of boring and the other thing became exciting. So like it's an easy choice, right?
Ah.
So yeah.
You want to share what the story was?
Yeah, well, that's a story about a story because I never finished it actually, but I kept coming back to it. Or rather I did finish it and then I rewrote it and rewrote it and rewrote it, and I never finished it. It never became a finished novel because it happened over so many years um, that I have changed, and so the story had to change. But the story was, to go back to a question, the story was surprising to me because I wrote in the same way in which I used to play music, and the way I used to play music is that something would come to me and I would play it, and it was the same with the story. Something would come to me and I would write it. And the story that came to me was about a Danish woman who, almost by accident, travels to Brazil back in the 90s. And there's a whole like adventure that happens, which both in terms of nature, indigenous people, spirituality, relationships. Like when she leaves Denmark, she's around 30s, and it's like she starts discovering who she really is and finds out eventually that she's quite a different person from who she thought she was. And it's a good story, I think, myself, and a few people that have read it. The idea about, and how it unfolds and what happens. But what I've been really working on and have never finished so far is the expression itself, the literature part of it, the language, the wording, and
Oh,
that's a different side of it. right? Is to how do you express what you want to express in words? What is
Mm.
the what is the right way, quote unquote, of saying things? And it has
Ah.
been changing for me, and also I feel I'm 70 now. I have so much to learn, and I'm not sure I will ever learn it in this life, but but it's been quite a journey, but a very exciting
Oh.
and interesting one.
Huh, fascinating. So you sounds like you worked on that book over time quite a quite a bit.
Oh yeah, because it started in 2005. That's 20 years ago. I'm almost ashamed to say, but I'm not ashamed to say because it's a journey, and um, I have finished other books in my life that I have published, but this is a journey over 20 years, and that an unfinished journey over 20 years, and 20 years is a lot in a human life. I have changed a lot since during that
Mm.
time, and while some of the things I expressed in the story are the same, others were not at all. So,
Mm.
and the world has changed a lot during the last 20 years as well. So, but it's also, if we don't think of creativity as something that absolutely has to become a polished, finished product,
Mm-hmm.
then it's just a very exciting process.
Ah.
And I know that there are other writers and or musicians or people who create who have some projects that are just continue and never finish, perhaps because that's just what happens with these projects.
Ah.
Yeah.
Huh. More about so it can be kind of most about the journey, the activity, the verb rather than the noun, I guess.
Yeah, exactly that. And it's for me, it's to have a story like in the sense of that this happened and this happened and this happened. It's kind of easy because I just get inspiration. But how do you express it? That's the that's the process. And I want to share with you because I had a beautiful experience because it's been a process but also a struggle for me because I always felt that the story was much better than the way I expressed it. I've always been
Mm.
like um, not not happy with the way I worded it, even if in many ways other people would say it's fine, it's good, but I didn't feel that way. And then I had this experience not so long ago when I heard an interview with an author whose name I sadly don't remember right now, an Indian American author, and it was an interview with Oprah, and in that interview, the author said about her process that it was about excavating the truth. That when you write, you try to excavate the truth, and the art of it is, and that it's natural that when you start writing this a story, you will be dissatisfied, and it's very important to allow it to be, and then go deeper and keep going deeper until you feel this is the truth of what I wanted to say. And
Mm.
when I heard this, it was like the first time when I understood, oh, this is where I wasn't happy with the words I've used or the language I used, because I really it really wasn't the truth of what I wanted to say. And then I've just started it recently, like started experimenting with, how would it be to write the truth of what I really wanted to say? And I noticed that I was writing in a completely different language, so to speak,
Oh.
than before, a completely different voice. I'm very excited about it because, again, it's a learning process, and it really, it's not just for writers, it's also for all of us, perhaps. How do we express ourselves in such a way that it feels aligned with our truth? Not necessarily, what is true, what is false, but more like who are we really, or our soul, or what is our true natural expression, perhaps. I don't think there are any final answers to it, but I'm very fascinated by it.
Wow. So just that idea of excavating the truth, of approaching it that way. I mean, I don't want to say simple, but I mean, it's very simple to kind of say that, just that expression and going in with that intention, you notice that it had kind of immediate results and resulted in something quite different.
Yeah, but I also think that the key is because I think just as I heard it, it was the word truth that that was resonating within me. But now, where a few months have passed, um, it's the word excavating that interests me because, yeah, because it's like, we dig in, and it's really about being willing to ask yourself, is this as deep as you can go? And it doesn't have to be serious in order to be deep, right? It doesn't have to be. Uh, it's more like, is it as real as it can be? Is it as true to yourself or to the story? Are you willing to go deeper? Are you willing to dig deeper? And that means that you to be willing to dig deeper is to discover something you didn't expect, right? To be completely open to what comes up, which can, for example, be sometimes maybe it's exactly what you expected, but sometimes it will be, it was for me a completely different language, a completely different way of expressing myself. Because I think I had ideas about, you know, how you write a story or what is a good way to write a story or a popular way to write a story. I don't know, but now it was about, like, is this what I really feel? Is my language is or and just being curious and excavating. And
Mm.
again, I think that can be true about many things in life, and not just writing.
Huh. Ah, yes, that's pretty deep. Well, I use the word deep, but it's hmm. I hadn't thought about that. I guess, think I've certainly heard it before that with artists, creatives, that there can be hmm, that tension or frustration of having kind of a vision or,
Mm,
vision in the um, visual sense, but feeling or
yeah.
whatever, however that comes about, and not being able to express it, or everything seems to fall short.
It's also, again, it's also a human condition. Like, I think we all struggle with trying to express something that feels like this is me. And it
Mm,
doesn't have to be a serious thing. It's just, it's, at least in our culture, it's so easy to be kind of buried in your roles and in some ideas about, I am this or I am that, I am this role or that role, or these people expect this from me and other people expect that from me. And I think we, generally speaking, are confused species that maybe don't even know how confused we are, but are perhaps at some level looking for, who am I? What is my expression really? What do I want?
mm,
An expression, again, can be words. It can be how I act in the world, how I am in the world. I think um, I think many people feel that, maybe even without knowing it.
mm. It's a funny thing because, I don't know. It's like, well, this is me. So, I mean, I know who I am. How could I not know who I am? And yet, it is possible, or maybe common, to not kind of know who we are to some extent, in varying extents.
I think so, and also because, at least this is my experience, that who we are changes all the time. So, um, or who we think we are changes all the time, because first of all, we are different perhaps at work or with a spouse or with a friend or walking in nature. we change. It's like different parts of us. So when we are in one aspect of us, in that moment we think this is me, but then we come in a different situation and are kind of different, and then we think, oh, this is me. And this just goes on and on. And also, even, I live alone and I spend a lot of time alone, and I see these shifts happening all the time. You could wake up one day and feel, I don't know, happy. And you're like, this is me. But then half an hour later, something happens and you feel maybe worried. And now you feel, this is me, right? This is me. I'm this worried person. And that continues throughout the day. We react or interact with our circumstances and with the people. So we change all the time. So we think we know who we are, but most of the time, I'm not sure we do. And it's not a bad thing, but I think it's not a bad thing because this is life. This is how we live. We change all the time. But I find it exciting, because it's kind of the same thing. We think we know who we are, but really don't. And we can surprise ourselves if we want to.
Yeah, that is exciting. Who am I going to be in the next moment or later today or tomorrow?
Yeah. And we can also surprise each other, obviously. But many times we avoid that. Many times we avoid surprising other people. We kind of stay in the role, is my experience.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, particularly with family comes to mind. I notice that, when I go back to see family, my siblings, or, when my mom was around, that I could definitely feel that tug of, going back to maybe who I was in childhood and being something different is difficult. Like I could feel that pull.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Wow. Well, this was fun. I loved going off on those things. But your story, is you're still working on it.
Occasionally, I've just I don't know actually. I've just had a period of time when I actually felt that I was done writing. That I have published the books I have published, and it kind of stopped. But recently I kind of start dabbling with it again. Or dabbing with it is the word. So I don't know, but I still, when I think about it, I still have the curiosity. So my guess is that I will never finish it, but I may come back to it like on and off when I feel like it and keep excavating. And I think that's okay because, again, there are things in our lives that need to be unfinished and other things we finish. That's life.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? So let's start off with the questions. The
Oh, I
first
thought we
one.
were done already, but no, you just started. I thought this conversation was done.
That was just the introduction.
Oh my gosh. But that was like an hour.
Yeah, it was a while, wasn't it?
Well, you will
great.
edit it, right?
Yes.
Okay. Oh my God. But I think some of it we have covered actually, maybe a lot of it actually. But we'll see. Okay. We play along.
Let's find out. So, the first one, what is the most creative thing you do? Or what do you do to be creative?
Well, right now, the most creative thing I do is to kind of just live my life, in the sense that when I used to play music, it was because it was improvisation. It was very much about like listening within and then letting the music come out. And it was been the same with writing. And because I'm kind of in a space where I won't be that creative or as much as I used to be, or maybe not at all, but I experience that I continue being creative, but just with life. So I listen in more now to how do I feel? What do I feel like doing right now? What's the next thing? What's the next thing? What's the next thing? And that's, to me, a creative way of living, but there's very little structure because I have the
Mm.
luxury of not having to have a structure, and just life as such is creative, I feel.
Ah, yeah, I like that. Okay, so next question, what is your favorite routine or habit?
Well, I've contemplating this a lot because what does it mean that it's favorite? Because, well, there are three things that I came to think about, and one is walking in nature, and the other is meditation, and
Mm.
the third one is reading. And I'm not sure which one to say is my favorite because I wouldn't want to live without any of them. It's a beautiful combination to have in my life. Walking in nature is, yeah, connecting with nature and this feeling of wonder. Like you can, I pretty much walk always in this. There's beautiful nature where I live, but I pretty much go for the same few walks every day, and it's always new. It's always completely and utterly new and unbelievable and wonderful. And aside of it being healthy and good for my body, I there's so much beauty there. So I love that. And it's kind of the same with meditation. I meditate more than I used to now. And well, I've been doing it every day pretty much all my life, but now it's more, but it's the same thing. Is that you sit down, or I sit down, and I just sit down without, I don't listen to a guided meditation. I just sit there and present to what is there, and that again is different every day. And there can sometimes be a feeling of wonder, and sometimes of boredom, and sometimes of something else. But it feels very, very important. And the third thing is reading, especially reading fiction, which I love. That is like another way of experiencing curiosity and wonder, and sometimes boredom. And when there's a book that I find boring, I stop reading it. I don't try to finish it. There are many books that I don't finish, but then there are a few books where it's such a beautiful experience, like on every level, the story, the world within the book, the wording, the language. So these are my three favorite things. Even if you wanted one, I have to mention all three of
Ah, that's great. That's great. Actually, if I think of, sometimes I don't like favorite things or what's the best because
them.
it feels limiting. So I like that you chose uh, three different ones.
Yeah. And I could continue, of course, seeing some close friends, etc. I won't continue. This is it.
uh, Thinking about those. So meditation, you said you've been doing every day for most of your life. How did
Mhm.
that come about?
Well, it started actually with a friend of mine when we went to high school. She was somehow engaged with transcendental meditation back then. And for some reasons that are a mystery to me today, she she asked if I wanted to go with her there, and it was a weird experience, but because there is a certain sense of religion with transcendental meditation, there is a structure, and then they're very strict about it. But I think it was, for me, it was just a way to start, and I was drawn to this, sit there and do this, go inside, basically. And then after a couple of years, I forgot all about transcendental meditation and just started meditating, but just sitting there without
Oh.
just being present. And for me, that's like necessary. It's a necessity, like that time spent in peace.
Mm.
I can skip a day sometimes or skip a meditation, but it within pretty short time. Like with nature, I can decide one day I'm not going out today, but then the next day I'm like, oh, I have to go now, or oh, I have to
Mm.
meditate now. It becomes, and it's not just a habit. It's fulfills something, a need within. And when with meditation again, sometimes it's nothing. You just sit there and you relax, and or don't even relax because you can't or something. But other
Mm.
times it's that too is it excavating the truth of who you are, and there are like worlds that open, or there's a deep joy that opens, and there are no explanation, there's no analysis, there's just this experience that there is something so much bigger than I am, or than we are, and uh, and I love feeling that.
Ah, that's wonderful. How do you explain your meditation to somebody who's doesn't know about meditations, never meditated, and they're like curious, and it's like, well, how would I do that?
This too is about listening in a way. It's about sitting on a chair. Some people sit in complicated lotus positions. That's not me. I just sit on a chair and make sure I won't be disturbed. Turn the phone off for sure, muted. And and I set a timer. Like for me, it's 20 minutes. Could be in the beginning, could be just 5 minutes, or it can be 4 hours. Depends on who you are. But start with something small, and then just kind of sit and be and breathe and perhaps in a way observe. But observe is a difficult word because it's not observing as an analyzing. It's more like, I'd say it's like when you are in nature and you sit on a bench and just look at the landscape around it. You don't analyze it, right? You kind of take it in. That's what we do, I think. And and sometimes our thoughts will wander off, and then we notice it, and then we go back to just taking the landscape in and noticing what is there and just being with it, really, right? When we
Mm.
sit in nature, we just being with it. It's kind of like that.
Mhm.
It's like you sit with closed eyes and you like being with you. You are this nature that you're being with. And sometimes it can be confusing because we have these overactive minds, most of us, with too much thinking is going on. And that can be disturbing because it takes you away from being there. And there are some simple things you can do. So for example, you can decide that you will focus on your breath, not not deciding that the breath should be in any special way, but just noticing that you're breathing. So mostly when you start thinking, we're not aware of thinking, but at some point we realize, oh, I've been thinking. Then you can go, okay, now I can go back to noticing my breath, not changing it, just noticing this. Oh, I'm breathing. So it
Ah.
becomes this in and out, just I'm present, I'm breathing. Oh, I'm not present anymore, back to breathing. And that just continues. And it's like with weather, it changes every day how it feels, and that's fine. I had a conversation with a coaching client the other day where we were talking about this, and he had this. I don't remember what the question was, but it was something, how can I become better at it? And my answer was that maybe there isn't any better at it. There is just continue meditating. And yes, we know today that it has great benefits for your health, mental health, but also physical health. It's a good thing to do and all that. But basically, you just meditate to meditate to meditate. But it's a lovely thing to do, especially in our busy world where we get so much input. And now with smartphones, we get so much input that we cannot process really. And this is the
Mm.
time of the day where you say like, goodbye world, outer world. I'll be gone for 20 minutes. Leave me alone.
Wow, so since high school.
since I was 18. Yeah.
18. Were you going to say something? I'm sorry.
No, I'm just going to say it. I'm 70, so we can do the math. What is that? That will be 58 years, right? No,
52.
52. 52 years. 52
Yeah.
years.
Uh, so, I mean, I meditate as well,
Uh-huh.
and I've been doing it for quite a few years, I guess almost 30 years.
Mm.
I mean, I feel as if not a lot of people meditate, or at least people I interact with. So, did you, at least when you started out, did it feel like something that was, that you were a little unusual, that, this is something not many people do or could relate to?
I didn't feel a little unusual. I felt like a weirdo. I remember that but that's meditation, but also living a spiritual life was really a taboo
Hmm.
until people started talking about it. And I don't remember when that was. Maybe it was in the 90s. I don't remember.
Hmm.
So for at least 20 years or more, say, I wouldn't tell anyone what I was doing, even if it was in a way the most important part of my life,
Hmm.
because that would put me in the category of weird and crazy and strange, etc. But luckily, since then, it has become mainstream, right? It's totally mainstream today to meditate, to have a spiritual life. So at some point, I started like gradually telling people, like in the beginning, like also with coaching, right? I wouldn't say in the beginning, I would say I'm kind of a psychologist, but not a therapist, maybe. And then I started saying coaching, because now coaching became more mainstream. And then I started saying spiritual coach, like I'm kind of getting closer and closer to what I'm really doing, because the world has been changing and people understand more and more what it is.
Uh-huh.
And they didn't back then. So yeah, not so little unusual it was. Yeah,
Weirdo.
yeah. That's how I felt, really. Yeah.
uh, it all started with that TM, going
Yeah.
in transcendental
Yeah.
meditation with
Yeah.
your
Yeah. But
friend from
that
high
was
school.
just a way to start. I never
Hmm.
related to the organization. It was just a method of meditation. It was just to get started somewhere. So
Hmm. And just starting with that, there was something you got out of it that kept you
yeah.
going, or that made it come
Yeah,
back.
yeah, yeah. And that was, and I think with that was like, I don't know, but I think it was maybe twice a day. I don't remember. There was a rule around that too. But it's definitely this possibility to just sit twice a day and not do anything. That was new,
Hmm.
because this is not how people live, not even today, right?
Right?
Something needs to be happening all the time,
Hmm.
except in nature perhaps, but that was the what drew me into it, was this just sit there. Wow.
Uh, yeah, that's beautiful. And you
How
mentioned setting
about
a
you?
time. Yeah,
Hmm?
yeah, me?
Yeah, what drew you into meditation?
Hmm. There were a couple things, I guess, that come to mind. One, when I remember this was like 94, 95. I was, I guess I've always been kind of a bookworm and into reading since I was, boy, in grade school. By the time I was in seventh grade, it became all nonfiction. I've really never read fiction since, by choice, other than in school.
Mm.
And so I read a lot of self-help books, psychology,
Mhm.
some spirituality, I guess. My mom was always into new age kind of things, weird
Oh,
things, whatever it was, she'd go from thing to thing to thing. So we had books around. And so I was always curious about different kinds of spiritual type of things, New Age things, including meditation. But meditation, it was something I guess that I knew about, but wasn't particularly interested in trying, but kind of had some curiosity about, I think.
Mhm.
But it kind of also sounded boring. And
Oh,
I didn't know, like, what's this about? And then around 1994, 95, I came across this book called The High Performance Mind by Anna Wise.
mhm.
She had taken, I'm not sure what they're called, like EEG machine, things that measure brain waves,
Yeah.
and she would measure brain waves of people who are meditating, people who are not, and show, like what's going on there with alpha waves, beta waves, theta waves, delta
Mm.
waves. And that got me more curious. And she showed how, some really experienced meditators and Tibetan Buddhists and that type of thing,
Mm.
how, it really registered differently.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
guess me having a pretty scientific, analytical, logical mind that really registered with me, like, ooh, now I see like there's something there. I can see like, if you can measure it in brain waves, that's like, okay, I'm more curious now.
Mm. Mm.
So that got me more curious. I tried maybe meditating a couple times, but it didn't really captivate me or it didn't pull me in. I also remember getting what did they call a mind machine? I don't remember what they called it, but back in the 90s, I haven't heard of them really since, but machines to like entrain your mind to brain waves with
Oh, yeah.
lights and sound.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
so I tried one of those one time, borrowed from a friend of a friend, but I didn't really get into that. Then when we moved to Portland in 96, there was a dinner, a coworker invited us over to dinner. My wife, Sarah, was talking with the wife of the other coworker. Oh, the woman asked Sarah, like, what she does, and Sarah mentioned meditation. I guess Sarah had started meditating by then. I think it might have been
Mhm.
like a Jack Kornfield book she had read and
Mm.
got her interested. And so she had, I think, started within the past 6 to 12 months, something like that. So she mentioned that, and the woman said, "Oh, I meditate too, and we have this practice we go to that's pretty strange, pretty out there because the teacher channeled this entity." And once I heard about that, I was like, "Ooh, I'm curious about this. Definitely want to check this out." We started going, and that was the beginning. And what really helped for me was meditating in a group of people.
Yeah.
I can't imagine myself maybe ever pursuing it without that. There was something about sitting in a group and doing it together that got me started. And then you
Mm.
talked about a timer. I would meditate in a group. We would go start out once a week at one point. I think there was like 3 times a week. And then I wanted to start at home. I decided to use a timer, and I remember starting out with 2 minutes. And it's like, that's
Mm.
all I could. It was small enough where it's like, okay, I can do 2 minutes by myself.
Mm.
It kind of grew from there, I guess. And off and on over the years, just there's been times where I didn't do it. But, now for a number of years, I've been doing it every day, morning and night.
Mhm.
It's been wonderful. Yeah. And like
Yeah.
you, I can't imagine living without it.
But I think there's this, when you mentioned this meditating in a group, I think in general that because it has become mainstream, it's so accessible today, which means there are so many ways to meditate,
Hmm.
either both alone and in groups and in all kinds of meditation. And that means that, and I think it's important to find a way that works for oneself. And then
Hmm.
it can change along the way, but none of us is like has to do it in one specific way. We can find a way that works for us and then take it from there. So,
Yeah. Wow. 52 years. That's meditating.
well,
That's great.
you you guess there's many things we get to do many years when we reach a certain age. It's not so special, really.
Well, and it sounds like for you, it's something like eating that you just kind of have to do. You
Yeah,
certainly want to do, but
yeah.
wasn't something you were forcing yourself to do or disciplining yourself to
No.
do. Ah. So last question, what's something you've let go of that has made your life better?
Yeah. So I've been pondering this, and I'm sure there are many things I've let go of along those 70 years. But I came to think of something that I am in the process of letting go of. And so I cannot say yet that I have let go of it, but it's work in progress. And that thing is to be myself more and to not be so. I was just going to say not to be so nice, which doesn't mean that I'm not nice, but I definitely have a, speaking of also who are we really, I have learned from a very, very early age to kind of find out how can I please my environment? How can I be with other people so that they like me?
Ah.
And and I've become so good at it that it has in a way taken a whole lifetime to find out how much it is a, not how much, but that it has become part of my personality that doesn't serve me and doesn't serve other people either.
Hmm.
And I found out that that there is a part of me that kind of, I'm very good at reading people, but I'm also, it has something to do for me with age, and hopefully for other people, it doesn't have to do anything with age. But for me, it has. So I'm reaching a time in my life when I'm like, I don't have time for this. I don't have time for for playing a role as a very polite and very nice person.
Uh-huh.
But it has become very important and even essential for me to be more genuine, you could say, be more myself,
Hmm.
which again doesn't mean that I'm so not nice or that I am. It's not that. The opposite of being a people pleaser is not to being unpleasant. It just means expressing myself more honestly, but also sometimes setting boundaries where I didn't do that before. And it's kind of, I notice what's happening with that is that I relax more in my body, that there's been like a certain low level stress that's always been there because I always had to like be in a certain way, I felt,
Hmm.
even with friends, some friends at least, and certainly with strangers. And I think many people do it, but it's in the culture that I come from. It's a survival mechanism, really. It's a survival strategy. If you're nice to people, then you're safe. If you're nice to people, then you won't challenge them and you'll be okay. And I don't need that anymore because I know now that I am safe. I don't have to
Hmm.
strategize around it. And it's very liberating because it's like, you can breathe more freely when you're more just being yourself and speaking your truth. And again, it doesn't have to be against others and doesn't have to be problematic. It just means you being yourself rather than translating yourself so that no one gets provoked. And I find it liberating and really like,
Hmm.
oh.
Ah.
So so that's the one thing that I am still learning,
Uh-huh.
but it's a practice to, because it's such a unconscious thing that I think most of us
Ah.
perhaps are doing, or some, or maybe some, not most of us, but some personality types are doing that. We don't even think. I never thought of myself as people pleaser. I actually thought of myself as a rebel because I could be that too. But in some contexts, I could be a rebel. But in other contexts, and especially as I got older, I became more of a people pleaser without noticing it, really.
Huh.
And don't think I'm the only one doing that. So and it's nice for it's a good thing for oneself to just kind of be yourself and not limit yourself and not put yourself to some suffering in order to please other people or what you think would please other people. But it's also good for other people because I think we have all perhaps have experienced sometimes someone that is just themselves, and they're easy to be around actually because
Ah,
when someone is just themselves and they just say yes when they mean yes and they say no when they mean no, it's simple. It's easy to
ah,
be around them and it's not so personal. It's like, oh, okay, you mean a yes, you mean a no. Okay, this is you. But when people try to please each other, it becomes strangely complicated and like murky, right? Like you say yes, but I feel something else, or you
ah,
say no, but what do you really mean? It becomes and that creates distance between people, right?
yeah.
And tension. So I think it's a good thing, at least for me, and maybe not only for me.
Ah, wow. I love that one. What a wonderful thing to let go of. Ah,
Little by little.
yeah, yeah. So when you mention, you're good at reading people, and I think of situations where I'm interacting with somebody, I'm reading them, and I think what I really want to say is this, but I think that they're not going to be happy, or I can see they're already
Mm.
unhappy or agitated or something. So, what do you do in those cases if you think that being you is going to upset somebody else? And maybe it could be like very low level. I mean, it doesn't have to be like you're
Yeah,
going
no,
to.
but I actually experienced it the other day. It was quite personal, but it was a good experience. So because I have been a coach and a mentor for so many years, there's been a tendency both for me to kind of use that part of me in personal conversations, but also for other people to kind of expect it. And there was a situation some time ago when I noticed that someone started, and it was a very real need for them to need to talk about some difficulties they were moving through, and I started feeling very uncomfortable, and
Mm,
something very funny happened because I noticed that I was like, what am I going to do with this? I'm feeling uncomfortable, and then
mm,
I noticed that I was already saying it.
hmm,
I was already saying to that person, "I'm sorry, and but I can't do this because that makes me. I want I can play that role for you in a different context, on a different day, but not in this particular situation. I cannot do that." And I knew they would be hurt, but because they had a need that I wasn't willing to fulfill. But they survived. They kind of, I could see this person got hurt and then we kind of continued. And so the world didn't go under. But but
hmm,
but what I noticed is that again, that part of me was like, how can I change this? I'm not feeling well. But perhaps in the past I would just accept that I'm not feeling well, but I'm not
ah,
willing to accept that. And
yeah,
and then the most funny thing for me again was that I noticed that I was already speaking it. That it happens spontaneously. It just happens.
huh,
That's a good sign for me because
ah,
again, this people pleasing. In your example, you're aware that, oh, how can I say that so that da, da, da. But many 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 times we're not even aware that we're adjusting, that we're seeking approval, that we're seeking validation, that we're trying to play a role. We're not aware of it. We just do it because we master it. many times.
Ah.
So it's like a change, like in oneself mostly. It's really not about the other people. It's about, again, how does it feel to be my natural self?
Mm.
Oh, I'm tense. That means that something here is not flowing naturally, right?
Mm.
So it's about noticing.
Yeah. So just the noticing, if you notice it, then you kind of naturally are going to take care of it. It's not like you have to strategize or plan or force yourself or anything.
No, and I think it's a, as they say, it's a journey, right? And it's certainly
Mm.
it's a work in progress and a journey and all that. And I think it's different for every person. Like, but I think it's a healthy question to ask ourselves, like, is this good for me, and is this good for the other person? Or
Mm.
more general, is the way I am in the world good for me, and is it good for the world?
Mm.
Is this who I want to be in the world? Because we will always play some roles, right? Because there are different situations, but I think it's a good question to ask.
Mm.
Also because, it's because of my age, but not only because of my age, I'm very, very, very aware of being at the end of my life.
Mm.
And that, for however long that may take. And and that means asking more important questions, because I don't have forever.
Mm.
None of us has forever. So how do we want to spend our time? How do we want to communicate with people? What do we want to experience? It's a choice.
Mm.
Who do we want to be
Mm.
before we disappear from the stage?
uh, I think that's great that you're, yeah, realizing, I guess you said very aware that you're at the end of your life. People can react to that in a number of different ways, and you're kind of recognizing, I guess, the preciousness of your time. Not, I mean, on one hand, we think time is a commodity, and it's really not, but on the
Mm.
other, definitely thinking about my time left is limited, or maybe there's less in front of me than there is behind me.
Oh, sure. Definitely. Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
yeah. Sounds very healthy. Well, let me kind of summarize the things we talked about. So, for creativity, we certainly talked a lot about your creativity with your story and a number of other things, I think, as well. Music.
Mm.
And then what the second question was around, oh, it was around habits or
Mm.
routines that you enjoy. And you talked about meditation and walking in nature and reading.
Mhm.
And then the final question was about something you let go of that has made your life better. And you're in the process of letting go of being nice, polite, and people pleaser.
Mhm. Mhm.
Wonderful. Well, I loved all those answers and discussions we had around that. I certainly found it inspiring. So thank you so much, Halina. I really enjoyed talking with you.
Thank you, Rob. It's thank you for listening. You're an amazing listener, and thank you for asking the deeper questions.
Ah,
It was really interesting. So thank you.
thank you. This has been the Three Answers Podcast. Thank you to today's guest, Halina, in Denmark. In Portland, Oregon, I'm Rob Bednark. Thank you for listening.